Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tanis Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy, and I am a Reiki Master, Celtic Shamanic High Priestess, Channel, Galactic Ambassador. I do stuff. And I am joined by Jennifer Jarkovsky. Would you like to tell us about yourself, please?
Sure. I am a registered psychotherapist, a Canadian certified counselor, an intuitive coach, energy, all that kind of fun stuff. And wardrobe change. My sweater was too hot.
We were on a show, for all of you that don't know, we were on a show with Gerald of Tarot Stash
I tried
this
to keep it
afternoon.
somewhat similar.
Speaking of Tarot Stash, here he is. Oops, there we go.
Yeah.
There he is. Hey, Gerald.
Hey. But yeah, it got warm in this office. It's a tiny little space. So,
I did not change wardrobe.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
hello to Kaylee as well from Fogo Pogo. She said she can only pop in, so it's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And so it's been quite a week. Again.
Yeah.
It seems like it's an ongoing thing right now, right? We're just trying to navigate the energies that are happening at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And this being human thing, not sure how I feel about this human thing. Yeah, been fighting a bit of a cough last few days, so my apologies if my voice is sounding a little weird. I will attempt to mute myself if I go to cough, but it's that being human.
I'm telling you.
Jeez.
An interesting thing.
It is indeed. So what have we got going on for our transits and human design
Well, it's
today,
interesting
Jen?
because it kind of fits with all of that.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Well, it is. It's interesting, right? Because we're in the gate 14. We were in 17th to the 22nd, right? And this one, it's fascinating, right? It's this idea of compromise to competence to bounteousness. Now, some people will call this like the money one, right? It's possession in great measure. So, in light of the show with Gerald, not this week, but last week, we did the cards, right? It was the gate 14. It's this one, right? So, this idea of possession in great measure, it's about this fuel to empower skills, but it's also kind of the money gate in some ways, because when we get back into the I Ching, the 14th hexagram is often looked at as this possession in great measure, right? So it's often symbolized as like a wagon that has, all the goods, right? It's like heavy laden with all of its wares.
Okay.
And it's this kind of symbol of health and wealth and prosperity and all of those kind of things that are linked to that. But the idea here is a lot of this is associated with work, with what we do, right? Now, think about that in relationship to what we're talking about, this idea of compromise, competence, and bounteousness, right? Because if we think about society and the way we work and kind of how we're wired right now, right? With all of the shoulds around what that looks like and how we put pressure on ourselves to do, right? And to push ourselves to the point of being sick, right? To continually, this concept of effort that is over and above the compromised shadow of this gene key really shows itself, right? And we have this kind of overarching attitude around life that comes out, right? And so we have, with each of the shadow pieces, there is kind of two sides to it, right? So on one side, we can kind of shut down, right? And on the other side, we can become enslaved, right? And so there is this kind of piece of, do we find ourselves, kind of shutting down and going, okay, that's it. I can't do anything, right? I have no capacity at all. I'm too exhausted. I'm not capable of doing anything, right? There's this like impotence to it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on the other side, it's the people pleaser, the yes man, the yeah, okay, yep, I'll do it, no problem, just put it on, yep, okay, I'll take that on too, yeah, no problem, right? And we're enslaved, and we're just constantly going, 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 and there is no ability to really get into being able to work from a place of, when we talk about this idea of competence, it's really working with our gifts, working with those things that truly bring us satisfaction and that really light us up, right? Being able to, Richard, when he talks about it, Richard Rudd, who does the Gene Keys, when he talks about it, he talks about this idea of fire in the belly, right?
Right.
And it's this piece that not only lights us up, but it's where we're efficient,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's where we're more flexible. It's where we have the ability to actually bring about success, right? Because these are the things that our gift is in, right? These are the areas that we can excel in, and we can do them effortlessly. It's not work in the same sense,
Yeah.
right? And
Which is for myself anyway. That's why I love what I do,
yeah,
right? Because it isn't like
exactly.
work.
Exactly. It's interesting because when we talk about, I know I don't always talk about them, but like the programming partners, because the programming partner for this one is the eighth gene key. And it's, when we talk about that, it's the shadow of mediocrity, right? So this, again, we're looking at that compromise, right? And it's just kind of like, okay, I'll just go along with it. I'll just do whatever. But then when we get to this competence piece, the the eighth gene key, that programming partner with it is style, right? There is this kind of like your own unique style, your own unique way
Mm-hmm.
of what you have to contribute, right? And so there is this really neat connection here, and finding what that is, uh, being able to connect with that can really bring you to this place of bounteousness, right? Now we're getting into that over, that full wagon that's overflowing with, the riches, with health and wealth and prosperity, because now we're living in a place where it's not us doing all the things, right? We're tapped into that higher self. We're tapped into what we're meant to be doing. And now we have this energy that is more than what we are, that is propelling us to be able to create and give to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that promotes this kind of bounteousness, right? So that's the energy that we're in right now. So if you're finding yourself feeling really, you know, exhausted, burnt out, feeling like you're compromising, you're doing too much, you're feeling enslaved, ask yourself, am I doing what I'm really meant to be doing? How do I navigate this? What do I really want to be doing? How do I direct myself in that way?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Take some steps back, do some reassessing. That's the
Yeah.
energy that we're in.
Well, and follow your own energy. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, when you're tired, rest. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of it. So we have a couple of other people here to say hello to as well. So we have
Mhm.
Nosy who's joined us. Hello, thank
Hello,
you for
hello.
joining us. And we have Betsy Palmer, medium Betsy Palmer. Hello, thank you for joining us. And of course, Michelle, it's always a pleasure having you with us. Thank you so
Hello,
much for coming on.
hello.
And we have Sylvia, Great to see you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Slowed down, didn't have a choice. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That happens, right? The body will say, okay, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm. And we just got to listen and do it, right? We just
Mm,
do what you need to do that.
yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. Awesome. So we've had a lot of space weather as well. Well, Schumann and all that. We actually had an M-class solar storm today. In the last 2 hours, we've had that. And we did have that coronal mass ejection last week on the 11th. So, hey, Mark, nice to see you. So that's always, upsets the apple cart a little bit. Not upsets the apple cart. I guess that's a bit strong. It nudges us a little, saying, still here. Yep. Raise your vibration. Here we go. And then the Schumann resonance, we've had some big spikes. So I'm just going to share that screen actually, because I always find it impactful. There we go. So you see here, we've had some big spikes here. So this was the 19th. This is today. So we've had some spikes in here today. We've been up to, you'll see here the numbers are 40 and 50. When we look back at the numbers on this, where are we here? We had a high of 42 today. And what are we at right now? Yeah, we're at 42 right now. So that's a pretty high amplitude going forward for that. So you'll see here we've got some spikes as well in the last little bit. These are the spikes for the Schumann resonance. Okay, so the Schumann resonance is it's what we measure the vibration of the earth with. So we've had lots of spikes in that. Not as many solar storms as we were seeing like in the spring and summer, which is kind of nice. We needed a bit of a break after all of that. But we're still having a fair number of jumps in the Schumann resonance. So to put it up in perspective, those of you that are not familiar with that, 7.8 hertz is like your base. It's like the standard. So anything over that is huge. I mean, we've had spikes up to 300 and 500, but even 40 is going to make a difference on how we feel, fatigue, increases the vibration. We need to release stuff, all that kind of thing. So yes, that's the other thing. It, like Michelle says here, it explains some of the anxiety in the collective. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And anxiety, because when we have that vibration change, our bodies kind of react to it, right? Because it's not the norm, and so we have to, and it puts us in a state of stress, which we talked about this afternoon with the reticular activation system. it's a trigger. And so we tend to, because it's not the norm, we feel differently about it as it goes.
Yeah, anything out of the normal in the body kind of goes, what's that? What's that? What's going on there? What's that? And then, we need to be careful about how we mentally then narrate the response to what's that, right? Because that's going to really determine how we feel. It's such an interesting thing, excitement and anxiety run the same line.
They really are. I mean, if you think about how you feel when you're excited, it's very similar to when you're feeling anxiety. So a lot of it comes down to that label we put on things, right?
Yeah.
But we've also had some big stuff happening around the world. I know that we did have some flooding as well in Dubai in the last few days. So that certainly has created some more of this piece as well.
The world's going through a lot.
Yeah, Gaia's really trying to clear some stuff up. And so that, makes for those kinds of things. So we just have to send love and light to all those areas that are struggling, and try to stay in our own light, not get caught up in the wave of all the emotions of the collective as much as possible.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we don't care. It just means that we need to hold our light in order to hold the light of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we need to maintain our own light so that we can continue to send.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hershey. Nice to see you.
Oh, thank you.
Sending blessings and positive healing vibes to all. Thank you so much. Awesome. 3D vibe is pretty weird for me lately. It feels like pressure whilst awaiting energy upgrade. I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We're going to be feeling all kinds of stuff with everything that's going on in the world. And so being really mindful about what we're tapping into and what we're feeling, and then also recognizing why we're connecting to it, right? What is the purpose of it? Are we supposed to be, tapping into it because we're holding space for something? Are we tapping into it because we're being intercessory for something? Are we tapping into it, because we're connecting to feel into it for a purpose or a reason, right? And maybe it is just because we're meant to send love into it, or because we need to have an awareness of it. But being really mindful of that so that we can recognize, okay, yeah, this is something that I'm feeling right now. This is something that's happening in the world. Holding compassion for that. But then, as Tana said, really being able to step back and go, okay, this is an area that the world needs love right now. So I'm going to, rest in that space and hold that and then send that.
And we have to keep in mind that when we're sending love and light, it's not our light. We're just channeling, right? Just so you don't get overtired, right? Because that doesn't help. So it's always picturing love and light coming down through your channel, into your heart, and out your hands in order to send that light. Because it's source light we want to send, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
most definitely.
Absolutely. And Michelle says here, yes, Gaia's purging. Volcanoes are erupting as well in Iceland. So, yeah, there's lots going on for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, as per our modus operandi, we usually pick a card from this deck here, which we still have a few. So, Soul's Journey by James Van Praagh. So let's see what comes out today, shall we? Oh, being requesting tubing a lot lately. Good.
Mm-hmm.
That helps. It really does help. So if you need that, let me know. We can do some tubing. Actually, maybe we should just do it. I could probably use some tubing right now. I didn't do it before the show, so let's do that. So if you guys all want to close your eyes and just feel that space around you, your auric space. Feel what it feels like right now, and then you can notice the change, okay? And then just repeat after me, please. Archangel Michael.
Archangel Michael.
Archangel Gabriel.
Archangel Gabriel.
Archangel Uriel.
Archangel Uriel.
And Archangel Raphael.
Archangel Raphael.
If it's appropriate.
If it's appropriate.
For as long as it's appropriate.
For as long as it's appropriate.
Please tube me.
Please tube me.
And just feel that tube of light coming down around us. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Got quieter in here. Look at that. Yeah, it's great for handling anxiety, for sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So we have very few left.
Oh my.
Pile. So we shall see what we get, shall we? What are we going to get today?
What's there?
What do they want us to talk about? I was thinking too, we keep forgetting to do your card at the end. I'm wondering if we should do that now as well.
Oh, sure. We can. I know you guys were talking about, just go on and do the little thingy thing on my own, but you know me. I'm like,
let's do it now too. Oh, this is fun. All right. We got growth today.
Ooh.
I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. Growth.
Mm-hmm. Lie on the ground.
Ooh,
Mm.
Time to ground. Everybody ground.
Yep. We grow. We grow from the
Grow, we
ground.
ground. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Growth. I love the yantra in here as well. It's just beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Mm. So growth. And yes, Gerald says tubing works. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Big, big preventative thing I do all the time.
Yeah.
How's everyone feeling after the tubing? Those of you that did it with us. And what does your card say while they're chiming in?
Sure. All right. So these cards, just so you guys know, those who are just kind of popping in, it's Seeds from the Sacred Feminine. And so this one says, when it's the last time you felt connected to the natural world, it is time to spend some time in the realm of the sacred feminine. Sprawl out on the grass or the snow and let your back connect to Mother Earth. Feel her healing energy pass through your spine and transmute all the exhaustion and pain you've been carrying. Still your mind and send out a prayer of thanks as this healing takes place. Living in houses and working in buildings away from the sunlight and natural elements can disconnect us from our sense of peace. Lie on the ground, enjoy, and be refueled. Can you feel the power and the rhythm of the earth? Mother Earth and her helpers want to serve by cleansing and grounding you. Accept this great healing by spending time on the ground. Lie on your back and look up at the sky. A few moments will change your whole day.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. So we've had some feedback here. So Mark says good.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvia says calm. This is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mark says tubing and grounding exercises get him through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And Gerald says the tubing grounded me.
Yeah.
A great reminder, let the earth reach up and ground you as you lay down and let it all go.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel connected to others and support and calm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, and this is the piece too, right? Like we talk about growth and we can't, we have to get our roots
Mm-hmm.
in order to grow, right? We have to be really rooted and grounded.
Mark says I like to picture roots growing out of my feet into the core.
Yeah.
And tubing. Absolutely.
Most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What does growth mean to you?
Yeah. What was coming to me in that moment was the as above, so below. And we mean that so much in the spiritual to the physical, but that idea of the tree, right? And when we talk about growing and what we want to expand, right? But we also need to do that in our grounding.
Mm-hmm.
We need to grow in both directions. It's not just a one way street, right? And so that growth piece is both in our connectedness, um, you know, to the heavens and to the earth, right? We want to grow in both directions.
Absolutely, because if not, then we can't stay upright, right? We can't have the balance we need to weather the storms and weather what's happening around us. So we need to do that for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm asking all of you in the chat, what does growth mean to you?
Repeat the what was the affirmation on there?
I have to open it again. One second.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I usually leave it out. I don't know why I put it away. I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. So it's more of an expansion, I guess, right? So how do we do that? What does that mean for you guys? I think that, it does come back to our reticular activating system. If you guys didn't see that show this afternoon, go see the repeats, okay? On
That was with
Tarot
Gerald.
Stash on YouTube. Because it's about that awareness and expanding the awareness, which is a lot of what we talked about.
Yeah.
Not quite in those terms, but we certainly touched on that.
Well, and about expanding our awareness of ourselves, right? And understanding our conditioned thinking and understanding our patterns and understanding what's going on within us in order to be able to expand and grow and understand, right?
Awesome. Here we go. Before you become a leader, success is all about growing yourself. After you become a leader, success is about growing others. Absolutely. Aww. Courageous. For those of you that don't know, that was kind of a slip that came out that's become a word for us. Courageous. It's creatively courageous or courageously creative.
Both work beautifully.
Both do. So thank you. And then we have growth is having stronger root to support what I have going on above ground. Beautiful.
Yes.
And then Betsy says, growth like the gift hidden in a big box and continues to get smaller and smaller boxes as I unwrap the layers of life I've lived. Beautiful. It's really that get to know thyself, right?
It is.
Growth.
It is. My two favorite quotes, and I know we've talked about this, but know thyself and to thine own self be true. Right? And how do you do that? Like they're continual processes of exactly that. Being able to get to know yourself more and more and going deeper and deeper.
Well, and I think, we all have our tools that we use to help others and to help ourselves. Like the human design is one, like astrological tarot, she does the Vedic and Western astrology. There's the tarot cards too, that she does, as well as Gerald with Tarot Stash. There's looking at those inner things, looking at the Mayan glyphs. I take my clients through that. It's all about how do we find out about ourselves and understand and be okay with how we react to the world, because it forms how we react to the world. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Best chatters. Yep.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Growth does require undoing.
Oh, yeah.
Undoing patterns, undoing behaviors, undoing thought patterns and programming that we've been given. Absolutely.
Yeah, so much about growth. We think about it as this expansive thing, but so much about growth is pruning. Like if you think about plants and all of that, like so much of it is being able to really take the time to notice what needs to be cut back and what needs to be pruned and what needs to be taken care of and what needs our attention. And and sometimes that's hard.
They're bringing to mind a specific card in this deck. This one, breaking barriers. So in order to break the barriers, right, and to learn more about us and get into that expansion, I was talking about you have to cut back on the dead stuff.
Mm-hmm.
right? So that the green and the growth can grow stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Because with plants, that's if they tend to always put all of their energy into keeping things alive. And if something's really truly dead and they still keep sending energy, they're wasting all their energy on sending something to something that's not serving them,
Mm.
which is a lot like us, right? So if we, release some things that are not serving us anymore, we can step into more growth
Yeah.
from where we are.
Yeah. It's amazing how much, we don't think about what needs to be removed in order for more growth to happen. And yet it's a intricate part of growth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Here she says, "I love learning about me every chance I get."
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I say that my shadow reads, "What weeds are we removing this time?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. When we remove the weeds in the garden, the other plants flourish because they can use the nutrients from the earth.
And sometimes some weeds need to stay.
Sometimes because they're just part of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're meant to be there because of whatever contracts we have. We're
Yeah.
meant to be a certain way in this lifetime.
And some have certain nutrients that are needed to nourish other parts of the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful piece to be able to really look at and dive deeply into what's going on and be able to reflect on it and to be able to befriend parts of ourselves that scare us.
Mm-hmm. Or that we're not that fussy on, even though they may be serving us in some way. We might not like it about them, like something about them, or about what they create for others, even though it's who we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our first step is really to understand who we are first, and then we decide if it's in our highest good to change,
Mm-hmm.
alter course, whatever that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because then we can look at it and go, okay, like I recognize that, this aspect is something that is a part of my design. This is a part of my experience. And I understand the role that it has played in moving me towards this, right? And in doing that, we can honor it, but it doesn't have to be a dictating force in our experience anymore.
Right. Yeah, we can choose. We have the choice. Michelle says, "Love the introspection piece. A good reminder for light workers to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment."
Mm-hmm.
Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Annie. Thank you for joining us. Nice to see
Yeah.
you. We are talking about growth. That is our topic for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely, I think, we do have a lot of influences trying to make us into something that isn't necessarily us. And so, how do we know what's us and what's not? We have to delve in,
Yeah.
right? And figure out what is us right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's going to be us tomorrow or even later today, because we change and grow every time we learn something. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm learning all the time. I'm always like, oh, hmm, interesting. Could have done that differently, or I didn't know that. Right? All of those things bring forward that growth, that learning process.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes what it means to be us is to be flexible and changing and not consistent if we're really open in a certain area,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas in other areas, maybe we are consistent, and this truly is how I am. And that's just how it
Just
is.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And Gerald says, I like the idea of removing weeds. It makes me think of a
Mm-hmm.
philosopher professor who told him there are no weeds, just misplaced plants. Growth gives me the chance to know what is no longer helping me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's like what is right for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's right for you may not be right for somebody else, and it doesn't make either of you wrong.
Yeah.
It
That's
just makes you different.
it's such a beautiful thing, right? Because it's funny, and I love the weed analogy too, um, Gerald. So I really do appreciate. It was Hershey, right? I think who gave the weed analogy. I'd have to go back and look. I think so though.
Yes.
But
Yes, Richie.
like as a good example, I am not a gardener. I have plants and I love my plants, but I'm not a gardener. And if it were up to me, I would have uh, the the epitome of what is a witchy garden, where it is just like overgrown with everything being all over the place, and that'd be fine with me. And wildflowers and everything's just whatever. But I know that that's not how everybody is. My partner, on the other hand, is like it's got to be this way and it's got to be right, and we have to make sure that the soil's all right, and we have to make sure that all the right nutrients are in the soil, and we have to take care of it's his garden. You have fun with that garden. It's your garden.
Yeah.
And so we also recognize that we are each so unique in what's important to us, in how we want to navigate our experience, in how we want to show up in the way that we navigate that experience. And one of the most beautiful things that we can do when it comes to growth is allow somebody to be exactly who they are, even if it doesn't resonate for us.
Yeah.
Right? And in that space, we can all grow in a beautiful, beautiful way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Mark says, I think when it's a change that's supposed to happen, you know, if you really listen, that it's right, whether it's intimidating or not. Same when you're doing something that's not intended for you, you can really feel it.
Yeah.
And Michelle says, The Gardener, she wrote a poem called The Gardener and used weeds as an analogy for growth in college.
Oh,
That sounds
very cool.
very nice. And Betsy says, You gave me an edge. It was more of an oi, but I needed to clear my throat. You gave me a nudge. I struggle with the concept of personal identity because I often don't identify with the person other people describe as Betsy.
Mm,
Yeah. I think that's very true for a lot of people, right? We don't see ourselves the same way other people see us at all. And
hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's just we don't we don't have the same awareness around it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and it'd be interesting too, Betsy. I don't know if you know your design when it comes to like human design, but I'd be curious to know if you had an open G center too, to
I
see
bet
what
she
that looked
does.
like. Um, because that would play into that as well.
That's what I have, right? That's where you.
Yeah, I'd have to pull your chart up again. But it's an interesting
That's what I have.
piece too, because we have different aspects, right? So we have our personality side and we have our design side. And our personality side is the side where somebody says something about you and you go, yeah, yeah, that's kind of right. But then our design side is like more of our subconscious side, and somebody will say something and you kind of go, because it's the side that other people see in us, but that we don't really see in ourselves, or that we're kind of like, oh, kind of,
Yeah.
right? But we're a little bit more, sometimes hesitant to go, oh, yeah, yeah, that's me. Hmm.
Oh, Betsy says she thinks she's a regular kind of generator.
Okay, that's very possible. I'm talking about specific centers, but
It's a specific
yeah,
center, yeah.
yeah.
A
Um,
regular kind of generator. I like that. She's saying that because there's a generator and there's a manifesting generator.
yeah.
So there's different types there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we do that where we think of
Yes.
ourselves in a certain way, but we also think of everybody else through our own filters as much as we maybe don't want to or don't, necessarily plan to, you know, we see everybody through our lenses and our perceptions and our filters. And so, even you guys watching us and us reading your things, we see each other through our own perceptions of each other, if that makes sense.
Complex, but yes. Indeed.
Mm.
Michelle says, I find the weeds crop up when my mind is coming from a place of fear. Yeah. Yeah, indeed. And fear is a natural part of who we are. It's one of those natural emotions that we have, right? Hershey says, I was raised to understand that I have to shed old skin and clean out the weeds that are hindering my growth. It has lifted me to a place where I know my peace is priceless. Yeah. And Gerald says, that makes sense. Medium Betsy Palmer, it's challenging for me to hear what others say about me. I'm learning to let it sink in slowly. It's awkward. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, it's true because we don't have the same perception. So when somebody says, oh, you're amazing, you're like, oh, because you are amazing, Gerald. So,
Yeah. Well, and noticing too what's going on for us in those moments, right? What narratives are coming up, what beliefs, what programming, what voices from our past are coming in and saying, oh, maybe that's not true. Right? Or, oh, don't take that compliment, or don't hear that, or if you take that on, you're this, that, or the other.
Right. It's that old, if people tell you you're wonderful and you actually believe them, does that make you egotistical? Right? And then that's a bad thing. So then how can a good thing turn into a bad thing? Through our filters. Our filters do that. Michelle says in Vedic astrology, we're assigned an Aruda Lagna, I believe is how that is. It is often how we see you, and it's usually different from the ascendant. Maya can be tricky.
Yeah.
Gerald says we learn together. We get to learn together, which is awesome. Absolutely. And he blushed. Hershey, the shadow reader, thank you. We adore cowbell. Yes. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Growth.
I don't know. Is it really loud? Are they really loud in the background, the dogs barking?
We can definitely hear them. Yeah.
Okay, I keep muting because I think that they're very loud. They're chiming in. I don't know what's
they're
going
giving
on.
their 2 cents worth.
They really
Don't
want to
worry,
talk
she
today.
does have other people at home, so she's not ignoring the dog's needs, okay?
Yeah,
Just so you know.
there's other people who could be doing something. But
well, we're grateful to have you too, Betsy. Absolutely. We do have a wonderful tribe online.
Yeah.
It's truly a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to learn more about Vedic astrology, Twillow Lifestyle Academy will be having astrological tarots, Michelle Marie, teaching a class next year. It's amazing. It's going to be, I think she said we're up to 30 weeks of
Holy
class
moly!
Of intro to Vedic astrology. She's super knowledgeable. She's got like a 4-year degree in Vedic astrology and stuff. So,
yeah.
So stay tuned, Hershey. It'll be awesome.
It's going to be amazing. Holy moly.
If yours is going mousy too, maybe they're communicating.
Maybe. Mine are definitely losing their mind. But yeah, what was coming to me is from I wish I could remember where I read about it, but it was this beautiful analogy of two people sitting together and each person had their own marionette. I think I've shared this before on a show a while ago. And, so like, let's say Tanis and I are sitting together like this, and we each have a marionette, and I have one of me and one of Tanis, and Tanis has the same, right? And so, oftentimes when people communicate, Tanis will say something, and it'll be Tanis's marionette saying something, and Tanis will, perceive her marionette to say something, and then I'll reply, and Tanis will perceive my marionette to reply, and I'll be doing the exact same thing on my side. It's very, very rare for two people to be able to actually put those marionettes down and actually see each other for who they are and communicate with each other for who they are, right? And so the work that we do and the work that we're all doing in this growth that we're trying to build here is to be able to put those things down and hold space to see one another for who we are, right?
Yeah.
And to be okay with our struggles and to be okay with the insecurities that come up and to hold space for those moments where we go, ah!
Which we all have, right?
Yay! Right? And all of them, and being able to really sit in that space and go, hey, I'm here, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We've got each other. And to truly try to see that without the filters, right? And so when we talk about growth, that for me is what I see is, can we sit in that space and put the marionettes down and really try to connect one soul to another without all the other nonsense?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that was why Twillow Talk was so important for us when we started it.
Mm-hmm.
Why it was important for us to do it live. Because we both were like,
scary as it was.
we were both like, live? You want me to go on live and just talk? What if we make mistakes? Oh, wait,
I guess we'll
that's
have
the
to
whole
do
concept. Make mistakes, be okay with mistakes, and share in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where we got to. And so that's part of why this all came about for us, was to be able to sit in that space and be authentic, and hold that space for others in the group as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Betsy, I guess Tanis will put up your question there, but this idea of being able, is there anybody who can communicate without projection or mirroring? Anyone present enough to do that? It takes work.
It does.
Right? And I think that there's always going to be times where we're pulled into our patterns and we're pulled into our programming, and no matter how much along this journey we come, there will be times where we can be present, and we will have moments of true, deep connection where we see the oneness, and then that'll be gone, and we'll be right back into our patterns and right back into all of our stuff. And the biggest piece in all of it is the noticing, right? Yeah. Being aware of it and going, okay, I'm doing it again, right? I'm putting my stuff on this. Okay, let me take a step back, right? And if we can do that, then we're doing okay, because it's not about getting it perfect. It's about noticing it along the journey. If we got it perfect, we wouldn't have to be here anymore.
That's right. I mean, we're human because we're here to learn, right? We can't learn without making mistakes. Toddlers don't learn how to walk without falling. Mm-hmm. So we're all going to make mistakes along the way. That is why we're here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I don't even know, that it is a mistake per se. I think it's just being human.
Yeah.
Right? We're going
I realized I was human. I have to tell you how liberating that was. I know that sounds funny, but when
Wait a
humans
minute.
are perfectly imperfect. So I was a people pleaser. I still am to a certain extent. I work on that on a regular basis. It's the empath thing in me. Um, but I used to be way worse. And it was like all of a sudden I realized I was human and I was allowed to make mistakes. I can't tell you how liberating that was. I was like, oh, so I don't need to beat myself up about that because I'm human and it's expected. Oh, look at that. Okay. I'm perfectly imperfect. I'm happy with that. It was very liberating for me. That's what I mean when I say it was liberating to realize I was human. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we have this from Hershey too. Life is just we have to be okay with mistakes and misunderstandings. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gerald says he's better watching Twillow talk. Oh, thank you.
Aww.
That's awesome.
I love you guys.
She's getting sentimental now, which is what I love about her. Okay, and we have introjection is the opposite of projection.
Mm-hmm.
Mousy laughs with Gerald.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's ways we found out that didn't work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would add on to that, didn't work for us.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some things that work for us that don't work for other people and vice versa. And so, more cowbell. Um, when we, this projection thing, if we're trying to project what worked for us on somebody else and it's not going to work for them, but we're projecting that it's going to work for them, sometimes it doesn't work, right? So we can't judge them if it doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
I know it was a bit of a roundabout kind of thing. I don't know if that made sense in the end, but I hope you understand what I was getting at.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? We're always learning if we're growing,
Exactly.
right? We have an opportunity to grow from any experience if we take it as that,
Yeah.
right?
An experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's this beautiful piece where you know, we can look at something and we can choose to be angry about it. We can choose to be upset about it. We can choose to, you know, or we can choose to grow from it, and or we can choose to go to the opposite side and have toxic positivity or choose to, like there's so many things that we can choose to do with something, right? And I love, when we talk about like different mystic teachings and things like that, because it is that middle road, right? It really is about finding that even path, that middle road, because it is in that space where we're really going to be able to find the growth piece, right? We're not wallowing in the lows. We're not trying to always seek the highs. We really are looking for what is the opportunity for me to just have this experience and to move from this experience to the next experience, right? And how do I direct it in such a way that it's going to be something I want?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Betsy says being okay with making mistakes has been one of the most liberating processes for me. Huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle says my unhealthy patterns stemmed from those who saw compassion as a weakness. I attracted this energy because I was seeking attention and validation, learning to stay in my own light. Awesome. Mm-hmm. I like to be able to look at something, laugh, and say, that looks like something I would absolutely do. Yeah. Yeah. And being okay with making mistakes is powerful, indeed. Yeah. It's okay to make mistakes. It's about the process. Many times it's the process. And we want to say hello to Jacqueline. It's here too. Projecting again. Hey.
Yeah. And we can't grow without them.
Exactly.
right? We can't grow if there's never anything that goes wrong and there's never anything that makes us go, "Ooh, I don't like that." There's no growth.
Yeah. 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 This is something we all have to work at, right? Forgiving ourselves for making mistakes.
Mm,
I think we all have to work on that. It's something we all do, I'm sure.
yeah, this
Right?
is where the Ho'oponopono.
That's right. Ho'oponopono. That's a key one for that.
Mhm.
Big hello to As We Heal Each Other by Purette White. Hello, Purette.
Mhm. Mhm.
So Betsy, I have similar reaction, something I would do. Then I look around to make sure no one took a picture or video. Yeah, because those things can haunt you. Rose Blue knows what you
There's
mean.
times though where I've been like, "Damn, I wish I had that."
Exactly. And sometimes those are the best mistakes. The ones that we wish we had filmed, even though we feel they were a mistake, because they're hilarious after the fact. At the time, they might not have been, but hilarious after the fact. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
absolutely.
it's so funny, we talk about like, this growth and all of that, and yet, it can be funny.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be painful. There is a pain component to it because it's uncomfortable, but it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's okay to laugh at yourself.
Hmm.
I do it frequently.
I put myself a lot.
Oh dear.
Hmm.
Very, very interesting conversation today, for sure.
Hmm.
Growth. There's so much we could talk about with growth, actually. Like, it's such a big topic. Sorry, dad joke. I know. I'm sorry. Gerald says, I'm constantly amusing myself.
Hmm.
Mhm. Totally relatable. I'm so glad there wasn't Facebook when I was growing up. Yeah, me too. Jacqueline too. Wow, see. Me too.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
There would have been a lot, even still, some of my teenage pictures has ended up on Facebook, I have to tell you. Yeah, I have friends. So,
Oh, well, thank you so much, Rishi. We should probably wrap it anyway. We're at time.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Hershey, thank you for joining us. Got to get back to
God.
drawing. Had a great time sending blessings and positive vibes. Thank you. Same to you.
Mhm.
I'm so glad there weren't camera phones when I was going in college. I'd never been able to run for public office. I hear you. Hmm. Yeah. And Betsy says, I would feel bad for a paparazzi tasked with following me around to entertaining. That's all right. That's good. And Jacqueline says, ciao for now. Bye.
Mhm.
So yeah. So what have we got going on? So we are both on Michelle's show with
Yeah,
Astrological Tarot on Wednesday.
that's exciting. Cowbell.
Cowbell for president. This is reference to Tarot Stash, by the way. Just, you
Hmm.
know, if you've seen me in the 80s, yeah. Hmm. Um, yeah, so we're both going to be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern with Astrological Tarot. We'll be doing readings. So join us early, okay, if you want a reading. And I have open mic with Ramsey on Friday night. So that'll be fun. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm
Mhm.
doing a Reiki 1 class on Saturday, and that's online. So from anywhere,
Perfect.
starting at 10 a.m. So I'd love to have you. I always, if I had my druthers, I'd have everybody trained in Reiki 1. It really helps you to learn
Mhm.
how to manage your own energy. So that's a great thing. And what do we have next week?
That's a good question. Well, I know
Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact.
Oh, okay.
Conference next week at 7 p.m.
Ooh.
on Wednesday. Free to attend. So if you're into the ET stuff. Anything for you, Jen?
Just this. And then, lots of dogs yapping in the background. Yeah, for this week, that's it. And then the following week, I think there's some more stuff, but we can chat about that next week.
Talk about that next week.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So great chat, everyone. Thank you all for coming. We are so blessed that to have you all as part of our community, and we can be part of yours. So blessed for all of that. And we wish you a wonderful week. And we're sending you all tons of love and light for the upcoming week. Have a good one, guys.